Here's what happened. On TikTok, I've gotten a message from someone who said, "Hey man, thank you. These before you go to bed reminders are helping me to deal with a lot of my shit." And I came in yesterday. And what I've been doing on TikTok, I didn't even realize it. Turns out it's a series when I look back on it. Where I'm doing these videos where I talk about what you can do before going to bed to avoid burnout, while at the same time win tomorrow. And it's five of these reminders that I want to share with you and put it into this episode to be able to help you to win tomorrow without feeling burnout. And you can either try all five at once, or you can try one at a time, because you can think about them as 5 plays for your burnout proof playbook, which again, every one of us has a burnout proof playbook to make burnout extinct in our life. And we got to decide those plays and try them out. So this is Make Burnout Extinct podcast. I'm Robert David Weeks. Today, we're going to get into the 5 reminders. These 5 plays I've tried myself. It's always my commitment to you to make sure I'm trying out the plays that I share with you. And what I notice is, because the problem is, life happens where we're going to have messy days and days where things don't work out exactly how we have planned. Those are most days that can happen, where you get hit with the responsibilities and obligations that you feel you have to go out and do. And from that, you can also have to deal with supporting all other people in your life, if that's friends to family to coworkers to team members. You always feel like, okay, I got to go and take care of everyone else. But then what happens is we lose sight of taking care of ourselves in that process. And it naturally can happen. I've been there and experienced that. And whenever I get off track of doing these 5 reminders, what I notice for myself is then next day I'm feeling more of that brain fog, feeling a lot more tired, and having the stress levels increase more. Anxiety increases for of having to make decisions. So I then get thrown off. It feels like a little I'm off of my center. And then that leads me to moving towards the first red flag, which is chronic exhaustion. And also the second red flag, which is that negativity in work and in personal life. So that's a moment for me to recognize, oh, wait, hold up, it's a red light. I got to pump the brakes and then be able to get back on track. And these reminders are amazing ways to be able to get back on track to winning tomorrow without fueling the burnout. So the first one I want to talk about for you, because to navigate the shit that comes up in our day, we have to remember that there is no perfect day. And that's reminder number 1. I know that you want the perfect conditions, and you just want that day. It's like, come on, like, where's that day where it can just be perfect? Everything I had on my list is going to get done. All of my conversations are going to be amazing and free flowing and incredible. And everyone else that is in my life is going to be able to take care of their stuff. It doesn't happen when you have a lot of things happening in your life. It's just the odds aren't in your favor for that one. And so it's to remember in those moments that there is no perfect days. Things are going to come up. It's going to get messy. And when we can have that space and recognition, what happens is that mental chatter that has been coming up, where we're beating ourselves up mentally of, oh, dude, like, you could have done that totally better. Like, why aren't you sticking with that habit? Or why didn't you get that project done? Or you could have totally said this in that conversation. Like, you always mess that up. That mental chatter can start to minimize the impact it has on us. Because when we are so overloaded with the mental chatter, it then fuels our stress levels and the anxiety of the future. And from that, we then feel like this heavy burden of, how are we going to get through for tomorrow? And then you close off of really being able to confidently step into tomorrow's day of the trust, again, going back to confidence, the trust within yourself to handle what comes your way for tomorrow. And by remembering that there's no perfect days, it gives us space to then recognize, okay, this day wasn't perfect and things came up, but what is one action that I can take tomorrow that is going to help me to win the day? And in what area of my life is that connected to? Is that the work? Is that relationships? Is that my health? What is that area that I noticed from today that really was difficult and had a major impact in making this feel like a messy day? And where can I change it for tomorrow? because when we can have that contrast immediately from one day to the next, it then helps us with momentum to be able to focus in on other areas of improvement and growth. And when that happens, all of a sudden, and you can even do it right now, you can even be able to sit up with your posture, kind of put your shoulders back. You notice a difference just in how your posture is now when you are able to sit up straight. Like, you notice that difference. There's that difference, and we can experience that from one day to the next. And when we're in this feeling right now, all of a sudden we look at other possibilities that could happen. And it's as simple as being able to adjust our posture. And it's to remind you too that every day is a gift and an opportunity to move closer to what it is we want and the vision that we've set out for our life in all those different areas. And it's remembering that we don't want to waste these days. It is finite. And it's by remembering that the odds of you being born are 1 in 400 trillion. And it's a beautiful gift of your life. And so it's not a moment to waste it. And it's also not a moment to beat yourself up about the past and the past day. Yeah, it may have sucked and things may have not worked out. But what's amazing is you have tomorrow to reset for a new day. Reminder number 2, write down the wins. Give yourself that gift of gratitude. I struggled with gratitude. This word of gratitude, for me, it's a hard block of that word. And a way that I was able to start to open up that door more was thinking of wins. Like, that's why I talk about this in the title of Win Tomorrow. What were the wins? And how I think about wins is, where were those moments where I was proud of myself today? And going back to my definition of that is where I do something that was scary for me. That could be having that important conversation that I was scared to have. It could have been being able to get that key work task done that I've been putting off for the past few weeks, and it finally got done, or past few days. Or it could have been like I didn't feel fully up to it to work out or create movement in my day, but I did it. And I went out and was able to make that happen. And that could be scary, of like, oh my gosh, I'm taking away my time for work, and I'm actually going to focus in on my health and make sure I get that movement in. And for me, I write down then those wins. I do 3, but for you, it could either be 3 or 4 or 5. But the more that you're able to write down, maybe 100 might be a little too much for time. Like, then all of a sudden you're spending a lot of time there. But just writing down a few, you start to create these small stacks for yourself of filling up the bucket of gratitude. And I think back to Tony Robbins' quote, where focus goes, energy flows. When we're preparing to go to sleep, which is a big part of our day, on average 8 hours, when we can set it up and prep for it and have our focus be on gratitude and the wins, and then our energy flows into that when we're sleeping and going through our recovery, then tomorrow we're going to wake up with that focus, which then sets us up to win tomorrow. Reminder number 3. What is the focus? When it happens for getting up in the morning and all of a sudden I haven't written down what I do 3 key focuses in the day, I'm then scattered. I am reacting to the world. I feel like I really like this quote from John Butcher, like a piece of wood drifting on the ocean. Like, I'm just reacting to whatever comes my way, which then creates a chaos and overwhelm. And then my stress levels are moving way higher. Anxiety, because I have to make so many different decisions super fast. It increases, and then I'm fueling myself towards burnout. But what happens is, when I can create focus and specifically know what I'm going to put my energy towards, what that creates for me is clarity. And clarity then helps with my stress levels. It helps with my anxiety because I understand what's happening in the future. And then I can have that trust within myself to know this is what I got to focus in on. And so when I can focus in on that, I'm then building my confidence, the storage of confidence within me. And with focus, we have to make decisions then. So that night before, being able to write out what is going to be the focus for tomorrow, just simply writing out 1, 2, or 3, there's going to be other things that are going to happen in your day, right? It's not just going to be able to have just that time for those three focuses or those three areas. I mean, that'd be amazing, but I mean, that's not life if you have a lot going on. So it's to remember, if you can at least know that you got this to focus in on and you're reminded of that, then all the other reactions, you're able to get those quickly done because you know you got to go back to these three areas of focus. So it actually helps to speed up your decision-making process to know that you still got to get these three things done or one thing done or two things done. And with decision, from the Latin root, it's defined as to cut off. So by making the decision, you cut off all other possible scenarios, which helps with our anxiety of the potential future, which I like from Alex Ramosi, of how he defines the anxiety of the future thinking of all these other scenarios and possibilities. By making the decision, you cut off all the other options. And then you're focused on, this is the way I'm going to do this. And by doing that, it helps us to move away from burnout and to move towards making burnout extinct. Number 4, the thing you're doing for you. I want to take time to focus in on this because Mo time is what I call it, which is movement. Movement, this time for you for movement to reconnect with your body. When we're in the day-to-day, we can stay a lot in our minds and we can then ignore the rest of our body. But it's realizing the mind is part of the body. And when we are not taking energy and time to reconnect with the rest of our body, what then happens is we're storing a lot of the tension. Literally, I remember days where I just feel it, where I'm like, whoop, like just shrunk, like tight clothes together, shoulders are up. You feel like you're in this little box and you're not able to break out of it. And when that tension is staying there over long periods of time without a moment to relax, that is leading towards the first red flag of chronic exhaustion. So Mo time, that is, and I've talked about it before, so you're familiar with it. Mo time is that moment throughout the day for like 5 to 15 minutes. It could be after a big work task or after, after for a break, if it's lunch, or after or right before an intense conversation you're about to have. Creating movement in your day, and that could be going out for a walk. It could be just sitting, laying down on the bed and being able to focus on different muscle groups of squeezing and then releasing for the tension. That could be also getting in a workout. That could be corrective exercises. All these ways that allow you to bring your awareness back to your body or the rest of the body. And what that does is it changes the dynamic of all of that mental chatter in your mind. When you're present, you're then not thinking so much of all the future things you got to get done. You're present in the moment, and that gives your mind a moment of a break to not have to always be forward thinking. And that can help to reduce our stress levels. And from there, the anxiety, and we're moving away from fueling burnout towards making burnout extinct. So to have that moment before going to bed to remind yourself, what is the thing that you are going to do for you? Because I know that it could be so easy to just say, well, I want to take care of everyone else in my life. I want to make sure they're all good and they're set and they're getting their Mo time in. And we then don't want to be able to receive to ourselves and give that gift of being able to reconnect with who we are. And what I can tell you is, yes, it can feel a little weird, especially if it's been a few days and you haven't reconnected with yourself for the rest of the body. And to know that that is natural and that could come up, and you might be like, I don't want to do this. Like, oh, this is a little awkward or weird of like just laying down and focusing in on muscle groups of squeezing and then releasing the tension. But it allows you to come back to presence, come back to centeredness. And what's actually really cool, and has helped me, is making decisions faster. What that then does is I'm getting away from all the distractions and the clutter. Like, I think about that. After I go into push-ups and I get some push-ups in, I'm then feeling energized because of movement, the benefits of moving the body and how it helps us with our mitochondria of becoming more efficient in how we're producing energy with ATP. But it also helps to minimize all the distractions around us. So then clarity can form and we can make a decision. And it's a way to make decisions faster and faster. And what's really cool is it creates this momentum cycle where you've made one decision, all of a sudden you're like, okay, what else can I make a decision on? And it becomes this like fun rapid fire decision making process. And you're like, oh, this is what I knew I wanted to get done. This is how I wanted to communicate in this way in this conversation. And just things start moving. Which then helps us to move closer and closer towards what we want, the vision we have for our life, without fueling burnout. So take that moment to write down, what is the thing you're going to do for you? And remember mode time. Reminder number 5, end on a push. What I mean by this is, you could have that moment where end of day, you're tired, you're like, okay, I'm gonna go watch a show. Like I think of watching a show on Netflix. Like I like to do that with my partner. Like we'll spend that time to chill. I have those days where it's just like, oh, it was a rough day. Like it was messy. Things did not work out. It was definitely not a perfect day. So we're just gonna chill and watch something. And that could be a moment to be able to step out of, okay, this was a messy day. It's a moment to chill. I have a connection time with my partner of just being there in each other's presence. And then when I'm about to go to bed, what can happen though is I want to end on a push. And what I mean by that is I want to do something that is a little challenging for myself, to remind myself for an identity that I am someone who will face a challenge and move through a challenge. And some examples that I have done are small things. Like I will do corrective, or I will do small exercises with where it's going to focus in on, like, one I think of is one for posture, where and you could type on YouTube videos. I recommend the one I've gone to is Athlete X, and Jeff Cavalier. There's like a bunch of YouTube videos for corrective exercises or focusing on different muscles. And for me, I'll do one corrective exercise, or I'll do an exercise to work my butt, to get a better butt going, or I'll be able to work on being able to do some stretches. Some things that I'm kind of like, I don't really want to do right now, but I'm going to do it. They're lower friction of being able to, I know, like, it's going to be a push, but I can get it done. And when I do that, what then it does for me is I'm able to celebrate the effort. Going back to another play for the burnout-proof playbook, is I celebrate my effort. So it reconfirms for my body that this is something I enjoy and I like and I want more of. And then for me, it reaffirms that I'm someone who can move through a challenge, face a challenge and move through a challenge, and do something that I didn't really feel I really wanted to do, but I can do it. And that sets you up for these, on average, 8 hours that you're about to sleep, of remembering the last thing you did, which was a push. And from there, you're able to set it up for tomorrow of being able to handle some more pushes that are going to come your way, where you got to go and push through and make those decisions and be able to move forward in what it is you're going to focus in on for the day. Like, you are able to bring that energy into tomorrow and win the damn day. And I think about this, the vibe does not lie. When you are in that vibe and that energy, all of a sudden you're moving down the highway so much faster of life. And you know that difference. You know those days. We've all experienced it on some level these days where, man, that was just like epic day. That was an awesome day, and the impact it had for progress towards what it is of the vision I've set out in my life. You know what those days feel like. And when we're in that energy and we can have more of those days stack up for winning them, all of a sudden you can notice the progress that you're making and how much faster you're moving towards who it is that you're becoming and that vision that you've set out, which is just an incredibly powerful driver of wanting to keep going and keep growing. And from there, appreciating life on such a whole new level. And from there, it opens up again that doorway of possibilities for your life. And all of a sudden you're like, that vision, oh man, I got to change that up. And that could be making it bigger, making it more detailed, being able to focus on a different path. But it is an awesome gift to give yourself of being able to move more towards who it is that you want to become. And so to remind you to go through these 5 to recap it. Number 1, no perfect days. Number 2, write down the wins, the gratitude. There's your reminder. Number 3, what is the focus? Number 4, the thing you're going to do for you, mo time. What is that? Writing that down. And then end with a push for reminder 5. And celebrate that effort. Small little celebration. I do acknowledgement with my hands where I'll put an X in front of my chest and then with my arms, and then I'll tap my shoulders, and then I'll move my arms up over my head. I've talked about this before, and I'll do like whoo sound. It's like that powerful, like just I can think of like ancestral and primal like energy. I'm like, fuck yeah, like I did that, and then that I'm able to sleep. And as I'm recovering in sleep and my body's doing its thing, I'm able to continue to have that energy of this, like fuck yeah energy that I get to take into tomorrow and bring that into all the activities, decisions that have to be made, projects getting done for tomorrow. And it's a beautiful cycle that starts to unfold of momentum, which is a powerful, powerful driver for your life. Also, I want to remind you that you are capable of doing this. You've got this. You can take one of these plays and try it out tonight before we're going to bed. And then be able to reflect on how you felt going into tomorrow. What were those differences? Because again, going back to Tony Robbins, where our focus goes, our energy flows. If you're noticing the differences, then you're going to want to do more of that. And it can help when it comes to creating it as a habit. And is to remember that you have so much potential within you. You absolutely can do this. You have the capabilities to make it happen. I'm excited for you to go on this journey for yourself to make burnout extinct. If you like this episode, please don't forget to rate this podcast to help get this message out of make burnout extinct. And you can share what resonates with you from this episode by connecting with me on Instagram or LinkedIn. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this episode. I don't take that for granted. I'm excited to reconnect again soon.